Alright guys, welcome back. It's been a while. Um, this is the first of numerous how-to videos. This is going to explain how I configure Azure in my environment, the best practices that I use. Now the thing about Azure is that my best practice might not be your best practice depending on what you have deployed and what you are working with. So I'll say it again, this is my best practice. And here goes. Normally when I start when I get ready to get an Azure environment going up, the first thing I normally do is I normally create a resource group to hold all the resources I'll be working with in that particular environment or that particular instance. So I'll go ahead and add a resource group. And normally I like the naming convention to be, something I can relate to or look at it and know exactly what's going on. So in this case, I'm going to say, I'm going to give it video G1. And I'm going to put in my developer's benefit, and I'm going to leave it in the West US region, which is the region I am in, or well, the region that I want the server to be in. So while that is creating, the next thing I normally do is I normally create a storage for that. So I'll jump back into storage. I just add a storage account. Now the reason why I do all this, or one of the reasons I do all this, is so that my naming convention is all the same. Because if you have the system create something for you, it's gonna generate random name, which actually makes it very hard to look at and know exactly what's going on. All right, I'm using the resource manager, and just because my of cost, if you look at here, you see my limit is only 25. I've used $2 of it. I'm gonna do a standard, and I'm gonna make it a local redundant storage just to save cost. When you're deploying your own, if you want it to be geo-replicated, you can feel free. So at a resource group, I'm going to put it in an existing resource group, and I'm going to choose the one we just created. Yep. And I'm also going to leave everything in the West. So while the storage is creating, I normally jump into my network. There you go, virtual network, which is VNet, virtual network, you name it. And I'm just going to go ahead and add another virtual network to that. And I'm going to give it the same naming convention. It's going to be demo VIDO and VNet 1. Then I'll say under VNet 1. Oh, what happened? Close that. I hope I have it copied. Yep. And subnet name VNet 1 S1. I'll give this the same, yeah. Subscription, I'll leave it that, and I'll use existing resource group. And I'll leave it in the West US region. Okay. And those are the three things I normally do up front. And once that is done, I can now deploy my first VM. So I'll jump into, I'll just say new up here. Say Windows. Yeah, let's go with this top one. Make sure it's in the resource manager. So I go DV. DV1 dash. This is just my naming convention I normally use. So it'll be like whatever I'm doing, like DV1 demo video 1. This is the first segment of the demo video, and then I'll put in my abbreviate my subscription so I know what subscription it's in. The next, I'll just give it the role, and then I'll give it a number 001, just in case I need them all to put in there. So on my side, I'm going to give it HDD because, like I mentioned before, like for the costs, you can make it an SSD if you want. Username, this is the username for my to log in. I'm going to make a DV admin, DV1 admin, and I'm going to put the password and the password, and I'm going to use existing resource group. I'm going to leave it in the West US region. Okay. Alright, I'm gonna expand this because I want the lowest I can get. And in my environment here, I only have 4 cores, so I have to make sure I have enough cores. So I'm gonna go ahead and look for something like it's 0.5 or 0.25 cores per server. Normally that's in the low A's, so I'll come all the way down. Alright, I'm going to use the one core, so I'm going to give it this one here. And I'm going to select. And this section here is the reason why I did my pre-configuration, so everything will be easy for me to select. So by default, you already put in my storage account, my VNet, and it puts me in the first storage. Now for my IP, let's see what we get in there. Alright, normally I like to give it the name of the server. Easy to track. So my NSG, network security groups. Since it knows it's the Windows server, it's gonna already put in 3389. What I like to do at this point on my first deployment here, I'm going to change this one to Windows Server default. Well, the reason why is because all Windows, well, if you want to connect to your Windows Server, you have to have from outside, for externally, you have to have a 3389 open. Sometimes that's the only thing you need on multiple servers. So if I put this here, I only have to do one NSG for all servers that are not running additional roles. That makes it less confusing than giving each server having their own NSG and it's the same exact information in all of them. So get that. No extensions at this time. I'll enable diagnostics and I'll start in the same storage account. Good. It's okay. I get a preview. It looks good. I say okay. And it starts to do my deployment. I'll be right back after the deployment is done. Okay, so the deployment is just completed. Took roughly about 15 minutes to be exact, actually. One thing about when doing this deployment, whenever you run a deployment, it's taking a while. There are multiple factors that can affect the amount of time it takes to deploy. So if it's taking too long, as long as it doesn't give you an error, it's always good to wait. So my image server has been deployed. I'm going to go ahead and connect to it. And my user admin was DV1 admin. And I'll connect. Alright, so it's logging in. Also, this black screen and all this time also depends on the SKU that you're using. All right, so and my server is up and running. So that's the best practice I use to set up my environment and deploy my first server in the environment. That's all for this video. Next video I would go over making an image out of this and to use for mass deployment. Thank you for watching. You have a good day.